Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's Wallsend history story. This week is something quite different to the normal videos, as this week I'm doing a little video about the new decorated shutters on Wallsend High Street. Some of you may have seen them when you've been out and about, and some of you may have seen photos of them, but I thought for anyone not living here now, it might be nice to do a little tour of them all. Now, I know that a lot of you will remember the days before shutters, and I can remember it as well, although shutters were starting to become a thing in Wallsend when I was a kid in the 70s and 80s. But shutters themselves aren't a new thing. They have been around in some form for hundreds of years. They just weren't a common sight on all high streets until more recent times. Shutters have always been used to protect the shop windows, and this might have been from the weather in places where this may cause damage, to protect the glass during the war from the windows shattering by any blasts that were close by, and of course in more recent times to protect the shops from vandalism or break-ins. On the whole, shutters don't look very nice. They are usually dull and boring grey, and they're often covered in graffiti. And as part of an attempt to make the shutters in Wallsend look nicer when the shops are closed, and also to show off some of the history of the town, North Tyneside Council and Wallsend Local History Society have been working together to add old photos to the shutters. And it is, I believe, an ongoing project, so there will still be more to come. But for now, I am going to cover those already done, so that if you don't live here anymore, you can see them all. And I personally think it's a great idea. It makes the shutters look more interesting, and it also gives people a chance to see some of the photos of the past when they walk or drive past them when the shops are closed. I hope you will enjoy the video and find it interesting. The shops and the shutters in this video are not in any particular order. The first photo shutters started to appear in 2024 to coincide with Local History Week, which means they would have also been seen by everyone who went along to Wallsend Festival, which happened at around the same time. They aren't painted on, they are simple, like vinyl type applications, and they are put on piece by piece. And although some people had worried that they would be damaged, they are all still there in good condition. Though I must add that some small amount of damage is caused when the shutters roll up and down, but that's just wear and tear, so nothing too bad. So the first picture you can see is a shutter which is on Station Road, and it's on Craig Miller's barber shop. The picture itself is a view looking down Leslie Street in Wallsend, and the ship in the photo is most likely to be the SO Northumbria, which would date the photo to around 1969, as the ship was launched in May of that year. It's a well-known view in the area when the huge ships used to be built at the end of the street. The next photo you can see is on the shop behind the bus stop on the High Street East. The shop at one time was part of Bon Marsh, and it's now, I think, a hairdresser's. The picture on the shutter, which I hope you can see as it was difficult to get a photo of it because of its location and the shadow of the bus stop, is of a charabanc out to Plessy Woods, and the location that the photo was taken in was Boyd Road. Although you can't really tell from the photo as it's not too clear, the charabanc was filled to bursting with women and children. I didn't actually spot very many men in the original photo. I suppose in reality they are kind of just an open top bus. The next photo you can see is again on High Street East, and this time it's on the little cafe near to Lloyd's Bank. And it was quite hard to get this photo as the day I went to take the pictures, which was a Sunday, the cafe was still open, so the shutter was up. And while I was there, they closed the shutter, so I quickly took the photo, and I only just got it as the shutter went up again a few minutes later. The photo on the shutter shows a picture of Winter Supply Stores, which was pretty much a grocer's, and it once stood at 86 High Street East. The advert above one window of the shop photo on the shutter states, "Winter's flour makes the whitest, lightest and most bread." This next photo is one of a few that you will find on the old Wallsend Cafe, or if anybody doesn't know where the Wallsend Cafe is, Grafton's Green Maze is what used to be the old Wallsend Cafe. This one shows the War Memorial, which of course can be seen in real life on the Memorial Hall on Frank Street. The War Memorial on the mem is in memory to those shipyard workers lost during the two wars, originally only including the names of those who died in World War I, but after World War II the names of those who died then were also added to it. The next photo is also on the old cafe, and it shows people dancing at the mem, and this is one that probably does bring back a lot of memories for people of the dances at the mem on its amazing dance floor. They were always very popular, and my mum and dad used to go there, and they still hold dances there now every week. The next photo, also on the shutters of the old Wallsend cafe, shows a picture of High Street West, and in the photo you can just about see Greenwell's shop, which was on the corner of Border Road, and I did cover a little information about Greenwell's in one of the High Street shops videos. The last photo on the old Wallsend cafe is another photo of the High Street, and this time it's High Street East. I hope that you can see it clearly, but if not, it shows a tram on High Street East, and in the distance you can see the spire of the old Brunswick Methodist Church, which once stood at the bottom of Laburnum Avenue. And on the entrance door to the Memorial Hall on Station Roadside, you can see this photo, which is from around 60 years ago and was apparently quite a nice surprise for a lady by the name of Christine, who was in the photo when she first saw it. Now I wonder if anyone has spotted themselves on the other photo of people dancing at the mem. It would be interesting to know. This next photo shutter is on Spoilt for Choice Nail Salon on Station Road. Some of you may remember I recently did a video about some of the shops on Station Road, and this was one of the shops that I covered, and at the time it didn't have anything on the shutters, so this is quite a recent addition to the collection. And the photo on this shutter is of the Tyne Pride, and again, like the other ship one on Station Road, it is a view looking down Leslie Street. And the Tyne Pride was launched in 1975, so that's when this photo would have been taken. The next photo you can see is at the bottom of Station Road, and it's on the shutters of Lou's Barber Shop. This one was incorrectly described as being the workers of Swan Hunters heading home after a day's work. However, it's actually a photo of the men coming out on strike in 1957. And what you can't see in this picture is the brass band leading the men as they march up Station Road heading to a demonstration about the strike. Now I can understand why it would be thought to be the men leaving work, but let's be honest, anyone who lived in the area would say it was far too uniform. The men used to run up the bank and spread in all directions, and the men on this photo are clearly marching in a much more disciplined manner, all neatly lined up and following each other. It is, of course, still a great old photo, and it was taken in the location where the shop is today. In fact, the shop itself is on the original photo. The next photo you can see is of the mobile hub on High Street East. I have to admit that I didn't remember that this one was there, as every time I've passed the shop it's always been open, and of course you can't see the picture unless the shop is closed. The picture on the shutter is a scene from the corner of Sycamore Street looking along High Street East towards Station Road. Unfortunately, what you can't see on this picture is the fab old street light, as it falls directly where the shutter panels are. The street light was quite big and also seems to be quite low down compared to the ones we have today, so it's no wonder that kids were often in court for smashing the lights with stones, as they were so easy to reach. The next photo you can see is of Tom Owen's Florists on High Street East. This picture has two different things on it. On one side you can see High Street East showing Bon Marsh when it used to be on the opposite side of the road on the corner of Sycamore Street, and also on the shutter is an advert for Corners Shoe Shop, and Corners was originally on High Street East just a few shops along from Bon Marsh when it was on the Sycamore Street side of the road. Now, I'm not sure when the advert dates from, but the shoes look very similar to the ones I remember being on sale in the 80s and 90s. This next photo is one that I really love. It's on High Street East and it's Hancock's Tools, which is one of the oldest shops on the High Street in terms of one that's still open from my childhood days. And the main reason I really love this one is because the photo that has been used for the shutters is, as you can see, also of Hancock's Tools. The only thing that really seems to have changed with the shop over the years is the sign above it. It is, of course, a bit more of a recent photo than the others used on the shutters, but I do think that it works well with it being the same shop. This next photo is the shop next door to Hancock's Tools. Currently, the shop is Eclipse Prom Store, but I am led to believe that it used to belong to the Dodds family who are in the photo on the shutter, and the couple in the photo are said to be Mr. and Mrs. Dodds on their wedding day. According to the details written on the van in the photo, they were a shop for wireless gramophones and records. I can only describe the van as a motorbike van, but I'm sure that someone will be able to tell me its correct name. This next photo is also on High Street East. This time it's right along beside Richardson Day's School, and this is one of two photos on the same shop, which is the Wallsend picture framing shop at the bottom of Boyd Road. And this one shows a picture of Richardson Day's School, but it's not that easy to see, as unfortunately the main part of the shutters are a little shorter than those of the door. And the other side of the shutter shows a view looking down at Church Bank. You can see a tram halfway down the bank. I'm not really sure if it's going up or down. I can never tell the front and the back of a tram unless I'm standing in front of one at Beamish, but it's a great picture. It's nice to see that the full shop front has been used and that two different photos have been added. This next photo shows the Travelability shop on Station Road, and the picture on the shutter is also of Station Road, and it's a view looking down towards the High Street. There's quite a lot of people standing near the High Street end, and when I see photos like this, I always wonder what was going on to attract the huge crowds of people just standing around. Also on this photo on the right hand side is the Tyne Picture Hall. It's one of only around two photos that I've ever seen of the Tyne Picture Hall, and this must be from not long after it opened, as the sign looks quite new and fresh. This next photo is of Lily's Locks dog grooming shop on High Street West. The photo itself on the shutter is sepia and it's quite hard to see, so I have actually made the whole thing black and white as it seems a bit easier to see. The photo is said to be Wallsend High Street in the 1920s, but I have to admit I have struggled to work out exactly where the photo was taken. It's not easy to tell off the shutter photo with it not being as clear as a photograph. However, I do know from other photos that the High Street at one time did look more like a row of houses and flats in the past, and nothing like the High Street we see today. So if anyone has any ideas where this might actually have been taken, do please let me know in the comments below. This next photo shows MJ's Cafe on High Street West. This is one I actually saw being put on, and I was fascinated at how each single strip was placed onto the shutters, wondering if they were actually numbered, as it would be a nightmare to get to the end and find some of them were mixed up. Of course, the photo shows the scene of the corner of Station Road and the High Street, with the ever popular Grafton shop on the photo. And some of you may remember the actual shop as being the Big River Cafe, which closed down a few months ago and was taken over by MJ's, who used to be in the Market Village in the Forum. Maybe some of you can even remember when this shop used to be a bank, but that was a long time ago. The last photo in this video shows the Tyne Events shop, which for anyone who might be wondering is where the old Powers shop used to be opposite the town hall, and the photo on the shutter of the Tyne Events shop is of the town hall. It shows the building all decorated for the coronation of Queen Elizabeth, and I've seen the actual photo, and the building had a huge amount of bunting, flags and other things all over it, right up to the top from the bottom, so it must have taken a lot of time to do, but it did actually look rather good. That now brings us to the end of our little tour around the decorated shutters of Wallsend. Now I know that most photos won't have been on screen for a long time, but obviously I didn't really have all that much to say about each one. I was really just wanting you all to be able to see these great pictures and to see how they brighten up some otherwise dull grey shutters. And I, as said earlier, believe there are plans for more. So if you live local, keep an eye out for any new ones. And I definitely think that these do make the shutters look great. I do hope that you have enjoyed this short little video, and I do thank you all very much for watching, and I do hope to see you all again next